Work less. What? I'll never forget this. This was a sales job. It was business to business sales. All of these sales calls were done over the phone. So it was a call center. And one of the things that I noticed was somebody that had worked there, and they were more senior level in terms of working there at the company. They'd been there some time. I think they were maybe in their late 50s, maybe close to 60 at the time. They just mind their own business. They came in on time, and right at 5 p.m. they left like clockwork. Didn't really socialize a lot, just head down, making the calls, and was one of the most successful people in the office. Plus, they've done it for quite some time. I was new at the time, being new in sales, just trying to get it all figured out, and struggling wasn't something that came natural at all. And there were times I'd be there super crazy late, just trying to get caught up, trying to plan the next day, think about what to say, how to overcome objections, all these different things. Now, this person, as I mentioned, they were typically there right at maybe 8 o'clock, I guess, 8 a.m. and left at 5, just boom, relentlessly. And there might have been maybe a couple other people that were in the office, fairly new. It seemed like the people that were newer might have been in there a little bit later than some of the more senior sales reps that had it dialed in and were doing well and were successful with things. But it was tough. It was definitely tough for me. I think tough for the others. All really high turnover in that type of sales business. Then one time, this person, we'll say their name was Amy, that I said kind of came in, left, did their thing, successful, didn't mingle very much with everybody else, didn't socialize a lot, just got the work done, maybe around 60-ish or so. Just stopped by my desk and said, hey, I know you're really trying hard, and it takes some time to get in the groove with things, and you're here. Whenever I'm here, it seems like you're here, so I imagine you're probably here late quite often. I said, yeah, it was, and she had said something to, people probably snicker as I leave at 5 p.m. every day, and they probably have comments behind my back about leaving right at 5 and maybe being, not so social and things like that. And she said, but I'm going to share a lesson with you. I think it's important that, you finish your day and you go home and you're rested for this job. And it may look good to management and those around you that you're staying here so crazy late, but it's not really efficient in her opinion. And she said, the reason I can say that is years ago in her career, she had worked at a company that was sales. It was from a call center. It might have been for some vacation related or travel. I don't remember what exactly it was. But she said, Robert, they tracked every single dial we made. They tracked all of it. So they knew how many calls it took to get to a conversion. And they told us, the feedback was, after an 8-hour day, it took these sales reps a higher significant volume of phone calls to get a sale. So their productivity nosedived after that, maybe say 8-hour window of time, 8 or 9, whatever it was. It's been so long. And I'll never forget that. So she says, I have the data. Anybody can argue this. Anyway, I've seen the data. I know my own performance. Go home and get some rest. Now, you may say that's one person's experience, but I think if you take a look at your productivity, you may notice the same thing. We see a lot with the hustle culture and some maybe retraction of that and work-life balance and all these things, but it's best to figure out for yourself what works. And I don't know if maybe it's a recent Alex Hormozi video him talking about He's not doing affirmations, cold plunges, all this stuff. Maybe this stuff worked for somebody else, but I think sometimes we see this and we try to adopt these things, whether it's working or not, whether we're looking at the data that it's having an impact or not, when maybe it's not, right? So that's something to take a look at too. And I thought that was interesting in that person, Amy's experience of this company, tracking the data, seeing like it just wasn't productive. And I think one of the things too that what I thought was interesting was it took much higher call volume, much more dials to reach a sale than it did when people were fresh early in the morning. And somehow the way this company structured the compensation was the more dials it took you to convert to a sale, your commission percentage was lower. So you're basically de-incentivized the longer that took, the more effort it took to get a conversion. So that's something to keep in mind. One of the experiences I had recently, and I can get into this more in the future, you see a lot about batch creating of content. And just when you're new to this, which I'm new to this, posting one video is a major achievement. Figuring out your audio, figuring out some basic editing, figuring out the upload to YouTube Studio, all these different things. So the idea of this batch creation of, wow, these creators are, dedicating some time and getting through a lot of videos. Last week, I think it was a week ago, Tuesday, just was in a good rhythm. Didn't even realize that I thought I had created 7 videos. Granted, they're not long, right? We're most likely under 10 minutes, 7 to 8 minutes, something like that, or 6 to 7 minutes. But was just in this flow state and just kept ripping through these videos, changing shirts out, jumping into the next one, not focus on perfection, just focus on talking in front of the camera, that being the number one goal, just feeling comfortable with that, eventually get into thumbnails and storytelling and hooks and all those things. But later, as I was editing these videos, it wasn't until like a day or two later, I realized there was 8 videos that were created in that single batch. How crazy is that? From 1 video recorded is a big deal to 8, where that would have taken me over a week, maybe a week and a half to do 8 when I started out. And now it was in one sitting and it was fun. It was enjoyable. It seemed effortless for the most part. And I'll share some of that too once I get into those 90 days of lessons learned uploading to YouTube. But yeah, it was fun. It seemed effortless. And if I were to go back, if I were to track back all that time over those 10 days to get 8 videos out, probably at least 10 days, I would say, versus doing all those in a batch, how more efficient that was. And it was something that was done, started in the morning. I wish I would have tracked how long it took to do those 8 videos, but it just went by like a breeze. Felt good about it. It wasn't I forced myself, started late in the day, that kind of thing. But know yourself. I think that's another big takeaway. Know yourself, and it's getting the quality output as a goal versus how many hours you're putting in. I remember years back in another sales role where I think that's a lot too. Everybody has pride when they do work a lot of hours or insane amount of weekly hours. And the follow-up question is like, what is the result, right? If you're producing, that's one thing, but if it's not, take some time, see if it makes more sense to get things dialed in, be rested, be in the right mindset. You're not doing the context switching from video recording to editing, back to recording a video, all those kind of things that make it a little bit difficult to get dialed in. But think about that. Are you optimizing your time and optimizing for quality and results that you're proud of? Or is it putting in these long, crazy hours just because the rest of the herd is doing that? And it may or may not work for them. Not to say that it doesn't work for everyone, but is it working for you? So keep that in mind. Sometimes those long grinding it out isn't going to produce the success that you're looking for when it may be a more rested, focused mind can achieve much more in a shorter amount of time. So test that out, see how that works, reflect on your own personal days, what you're getting done, what you're not getting done, where things flowed and were successful, where things were not, and does it make sense to keep grinding things out crazy long hours if it's not efficient? There's going to be times when you need to do that, but is it really efficient to do that as your normal routine? Hope you enjoy that story. Have an amazing day, and we'll talk soon. Thanks.